As human beings, exploration is in our genes. We feel it as part of our destiny. We feel like there's something over the horizon, something around the corner, and we need to know what it is. Hello, welcome. We're getting ready to head out this weekend. Gonna head up to the Aspen area. So first time up there for us since we've been in Colorado, and looking forward to kind of checking out the area. We headed out of Denver heading west on Interstate 70. Our route was over the pass, through the Eisenhower Tunnel, and then heading up to Leadville, where we'd take Independence Pass over to our camp area. Truth be told, I was a little bit nervous about this trip. One of our goals was to get up to Crystal Mills, which means going up the Crystal River on a rather gnarly four-wheel drive road. This road itself is not plowed in the wintertime. We just passed the gate, so from here on over, we're only 30 miles from Aspen, but not a way to go in the wintertime. We enjoyed spending some time at the summit of Independence Pass, getting a look at the Continental Divide, checking out some little bit of snow that was left. We started our way down to Aspen on the windy road. As we began to head down, things started to get a little bit narrower, getting pretty tight with some RVs coming in the other direction. And it seems like at some point we finally got down to our lane wasn't even wide enough for a vehicle. At one point they apparently just gave up trying to make lanes altogether. Clearly this wasn't meant for two vehicles to pass. Sometimes you didn't have a choice. You just had to figure out a way to make it work. We eventually made it down the hill safe and found our way to our campsite at the Difficult Campground, about 4 miles outside of Aspen. All right, we have arrived. Campsite number 11 at the Difficult Campground. Very pretty, no doubt about it. Really nice here amongst the aspens. It's got all the amenities. Bear box. Little fire pit.
Here's a creek.
The creek.
Here's a
Awesome.
creek. It's bubbling.
Nice.
Oh, it's great.
Just walk around the campground, check it out.
Some little critter just ran through there. I don't know what it was. Oh, it's beautiful. Check it out.
Aspen was quite a contrast from the campground and the pass. It was full of ritzy restaurants, upscale stores, and there was some neat art to take a look at. It was a fun town to explore, even if it did feel a bit like Disneyland. It was the odd combination of some upscale stores, a little bit of Old West, and a lot of fancy cars. It was actually a lot of fun to sit back and do a little people watching, count the number of Land Rovers per minute that drove by at the intersection, and just kind of hang out with a few of the locals. And by locals I mean people who actually work there, not just flying on their business jets for the weekend. After falling asleep to the sound of the river and the creek, we got up the next morning, grabbed a little coffee, and it was time to head out for some more exploring. Today our goal was Crystal Mill. To get to Crystal Mill, you drive about an hour and a half from Aspen, through the town of Marble, where you shift over to a dirt road. Eventually the dirt road becomes a little bit rougher and it's time to air down. This is where the real fun begins. If you like bouncing around on big rocks and ruts and staring down cliffs at the river below. We're not the most experienced off-roaders, and getting used to driving this full-size truck around on some of these Jeep roads was a bit of a challenge. But we're up for it, and let's see what happens. The scenery in the valley is beautiful. You're either up on the cliffs looking at the horizon and down at the river, or you're down close to the river taking in the falls and the rushing water. The road is narrow in one lane. In many places there's no room to pass. Most people are pretty courteous, and there are times when you have to back up a couple of 100 feet. But it's all part of the adventure. You'll be treated to beautiful vistas over the river, and you'll drive through forest meadows, several created from previous year's avalanches that have taken out trees. And if you come up in late summer, you'll be treated to numerous flowers that are blooming all around you. About an hour and a half out of Marble, depending upon how many stops you make, you'll make it up to Crystal Mill. This is a beautiful site, one of the most photographed in Colorado. The prime time for visiting is in the fall when the aspens start changing colors. But really, it's beautiful any time of year.
It's a beautiful spot. Beautiful day up here. A bit of a breeze blowing and the aspens are shimmering. Kind of a dicey road to get up here, but definitely worth the trip.
Crystal Mill was constructed in about 1893. It powered both equipment in the mine and a stamp mill that was used to break up the ore that was brought out. About 1,000 feet up the road from the mill is the town of Crystal. This is where most of the people who worked in the mine lived. These days there's not much here, a few cabins, and a small general store. Don't forget to check out the Crystal Club. It was probably a hopping place at one time. There are more roads to explore up here if you have a capable four-wheel drive. I'm sure there's plenty of beautiful views and interesting ghost towns. But for us it was time to turn around and retrace our steps. This time I got to sit at the edge and look down the cliff. A little bit of an eye-opening experience. Look close and you'll see the remains of a pickup truck that didn't make it across this road many years ago. Having made it back to Marble, it was time to get some lunch. I was ready for barbecue.
Me too.
I can smell this place like very far away.
I can smell it coming in and we're
Yeah.
thinking about it all the way up until we come back down again.
That's perfect.
All right.
And if you find yourself in Marble, just follow your nose to the slow grooving barbecue. You won't be disappointed. The town is named for a marble quarry several miles out of town. This is a very high quality marble. First discovered back in the 1870s, the marble itself was used in making the Tomb of the Unknowns and the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. Although it's fallen on hard times now and again and passed through several owners and has shrunk down to be a mere fraction of what it used to be, this mine is still in operation and the high quality marble is still in demand and shipped all over the world. On the way to and from Crystal Mill, you also pass through the town of Redstone. Here there's a really interesting stop to take a look at the coke mills. Coke is a high purity carbon product made by firing coal at very high temperatures without any air. These ovens were used back at the turn of the century to make it. Both the coking process and the coal mine itself, several miles up the valley, were very dangerous work. Located at the coke ovens is a memorial to all of the miners who lost their lives over the years.
All right, back at camp. Had a good day out there checking out Crystal Mill and doing a little off-roading to get up there. Cool little shelf road. A little dicey, it looks like, for a full-size truck. We had to back up a few times, 100 feet or so, to squeeze a couple folks by. But anyway, yeah, it's good to be back at camp here for the night.
It was a long drive. It was longer than I expected. Of course, it's very slow going. It's a very bumpy road. I'm kind of achy. The Crystal River was beautiful. There are some really wonderful communities between Aspen and Marble, and I was really surprised by that. Really beautiful, really steep mountains.
Well, Sunday had finally rolled around and it was time to head home from our 3-day weekend. For us, that meant heading back up over Independence Pass. This time it was a lot more traffic than coming over on Friday, and that narrow road made things a little bit interesting. When we got to the one-lane section, we ran across a little bit of a Mexican standoff. 2 vehicles ahead had stopped and neither one wanted to back up. We just backed up immediately, seeing that we weren't going to make it through. Finally, the car ahead of us relented and began to back up as well. It took a little while, but they untangled themselves and things began to clear up. Just when we thought we were going to get through, we ran across one more car deciding he wanted to try to squeeze by. We eventually sorted ourselves out. The downhill car backed up a little bit, we squeezed by, and we all waved at each other and got on our way.
Well, we left Aspen, head back over Independence Pass, which was fun. Got some interesting looking footage there of how narrow that roadway is in a few spots. So today we're heading home. We're heading back through Buena Vista. Before we get to Buena Vista, we're stopping here at the Vicksburg ghost town, as it were.
Vicksburg was a fun little stop. They have a little museum there. It was closed, unfortunately, but with some of the placards and equipment around, we got a chance to see some of the things that were used in places like Crystal Mill. Just remember to use the facilities at your own risk. We see these ghost towns around here and you tend to think of them as some kind of a public asset, but the reality is most of these places are all privately owned. They were in townships, not publicly owned, back when they were established in the 1800s. And then some of these places have been passed down to the same families for 100+ years. Continuing our drive down into Buena Vista after checking out Vicksburg, which was a fun little spot to see, catch up on some history. And now we're going to make a stop and we're hoping to catch up with Kendrick and Mandy Lea Photo. She's got a YouTube channel and we attended one of her workshops down in the Uray area. When was that?
About a month ago.
About a month, okay. And they are in the middle of doing their
14-14er.
Yeah, 14-14er. So what is that about again?
Oh, in 14 days, Summit 14-14ers. And also check out 14 breweries, distilleries, and I think there was one other thing.
I'll have to ask them. But we're here to help them. Maybe some words of encouragement, and we also might try to help them visit one of those distilleries and a brewery. So we'll see. But that'll be fun.
It was fun to catch up with Mandy Lea and Kendrick and get a chance to talk with them and see how they're doing on their 14er project. It's nice to have a chance to have a little chat when they weren't busy trying to run a workshop. Be sure to check out the link in the description for their excellent YouTube channel.
Everyone say yay beer! Yay beer!
Not every trip has to be epic. We set out with the goal this weekend of exploring new places, challenging ourselves on an off-road trail, and meeting up with some friends to have a good time. By all measures, this exploration was a great success. We're looking forward to many more.